Hello, my name is Meg Martin. I'm the Executive Director for Interfaith Works, and this is Lean in Olympia. Welcome. Lean in Olympia is a live bi-weekly show that we have on Facebook Live, and we air it on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, right at noon. Lean in Olympia is a show that features conversations at the crossroads of humanity, justice, and belief. We've had so many amazing interviews and guests on the show over the last year. We just came up on our 1-year anniversary, and all of those are archived on our website, interfaith-works.org, so be sure to check them out. A ton of local, amazing, magic, beautiful people that have been highlighted. Also, please visit our Interfaith Works Facebook page, Thurston County, and YouTube page as well for lots of other videos and information and stuff that we've been up to lately. Today, I'm very excited to highlight two local downtown Olympia business owners, Jamie and Kevin of the Wayside Cafe and Voyeur.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. The impact on small businesses has been a huge topic during the pandemic. I hope to highlight other small businesses in the coming year to get a sense of what the struggles and the benefits are in doing business in downtown Olympia. I'm particularly interested in talking to you two today because, admittedly, Kevin is my husband, and Jamie and I have been friends for lots of years. But even more than that, I see you both as leading your business from a place of core values and being very successful in that model. And I want to hear more about it, and I want the community to hear more about it too. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So to get us started, I'm wondering if you both could just share a bit about yourselves and what brought you into co-ownership of the two restaurants.
You can go ahead. You can start.
No, you start.
Okay. Well, I was a career waitress at the Reef just across the street, but also previous to that for about 15 years. And I reached a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is not sustaining me mentally or emotionally. So I didn't want to really prioritize that financially anymore. But I have a limited skill set. I'm not even a high school dropout. I have like a 6th grade education. So I was like, what can I do? I can cook. And this is something like for years people had told me that I should open a restaurant. And I was like, my food isn't good enough. And then one day I was like kind of thinking about it. I was like looking around and I'd be like, actually, maybe it is. So I decided that I was going to take a business planning workshop and write a business plan and do all of that to move forward with it, even though I had absolutely no idea how I was going to make it happen. And he and I were working together at the time, which is kind of funny. But I mentioned to him that I was trying to open a restaurant, and he was like, I was thinking about doing the same thing. And I said, why don't we just do it together? And he does that thing that he does where he just kind of nods like, yeah. And then I came back to him later and I talked about it, and he was like, yeah, I want to do that, which like blew my mind.
Because originally you were going to do a food truck, right?
Yes.
That was kind of the idea?
Yes.
And you both are vegan, and correct me if my memory is wrong, but wouldn't you like make food for each other also and bring it into the Reef? No, you didn't do that? I feel like you used to. Okay.
No, I mean, if there was something that I had like leftovers of and I wanted to share, I would do that.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
But it wasn't intentional.
Okay. And then you did the business class through
Enterprise for Equity.
Cool.
So that was how that got started. Honestly, it feels like such a blur. It's like overwhelming to think about. Mm-hmm. I'm still constantly looking around being like, did I do this? Did I have a role in this? Like, what? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's really weird, like, I just feel like I work there. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
literally
to believe that we own it is like, it still blows my mind.
Okay, so what were you doing at that time?
So I was doing at that time working in restaurants, extremely part-time, and playing a lot of music and touring a lot, and was also kind of tired of, I was looking forward and thinking, I don't want to work in a restaurant 10 hours a week anymore. So why don't I open one and work in one 60 hours a week for a while? And it had been something I'd always thought about for a really long time.
Same kind of thing, friends being like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, your food's so good, you should open a restaurant.
Blah, blah, yeah. And I was starting to really take it seriously at the same time Jamie was. And then we accidentally opened one together.
Okay, so how did it go? Like, you've got kind of the food truck idea, you're going on this like enterprise for equity path. You're like, I also kind of want to do that. Maybe we should join forces. How did it go to collaborate on what the Wayside ended up becoming? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did those ideas come together?
Well, I didn't actually want to do a food truck. It just seemed like it was the thing that was most feasible for me, given my resources at the time. 'Cause I had a terrible credit score, no money. So I was just kind of reaching for something, which was a bold move for me because historically I had not done that. I had just kind of like stayed in my lane. And I don't remember how, well, he was looking for a physical location. And you were going to look at that space that Johnny's Burgers is in now, right?
Yeah, the one I really liked was next to Grand Vin, where that bakery is in now.
Oh, yeah.
Would have required so much build out though.
Yeah, which they did.
But I was like looking for spaces, having no clue how I would ever take the next step. And you were kind of looking at the business side, having no clue how you were going to take the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was just kind of, we just kind of like came together. How we ended up in our initial location, I was out of town and you were like, I found this on Craigslist, I'm going to go look at it.
Yeah. And you were like, it's fine, let's do it. It's got a big walk-in. And it's cheap.
That was the motivating factor. It was the walk-in.
And it's kind of also I guess, like, how to put it. I'm like, there's been a lot of things in that location, your first location, which is up by Sylvester Park. And so there was kind of a, like, I don't know, lore, I feel like, of downtown, of like that's one of the locations where restaurants kind of come in and out of a lot. And so I remember feeling nervous for you all when you first opened there, because I'm like, oh no, is it going to be able to be okay? And what's that going to look like? And what year was that?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And in the summer,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we took it on in March, right?
Yeah.
March of 2018, and then with no money.
Yeah. I remember I texted you a picture of the key and said, nothing will ever be okay again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know. I had a lot of feelings about opening a restaurant. I knew when we did it that I wanted it to be downtown. And I had heard about like how cursed that location was and just how like so many things had been in there. But I didn't feel nervous or doubt that we were going to be successful at all. Because I'm like, we're doing something that nobody else here is doing.
I still feel nervous we're not going to be successful.
Well, I mean, we need balance, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. Like, talk about a bit about the food, about how different it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's vegan food, which there was Voyeur before us, but Voyeur wasn't completely vegan. So we're the first vegan restaurant in Olympia, which for those who aren't vegan, you don't really like think about stuff like that. But when you are vegan, going to a restaurant where, there's also meat being cooked, there's a good chance that you're going to end up with like a piece of steak in your burrito or something, which isn't the worst thing, but it's also like
sucks.
You don't want it. You just don't.
Or like the old side salad and fries for lunch.
Yeah, or that.
Combo. Yeah, those are the, yeah.
Yeah. And everything that we make, pretty much everything that we make is like from scratch. It's all like super fresh. Nobody curated our recipe book for us. It's just like his shit. Oops. Mine.
That's okay.
Mine. And we just, it's really funny to think about because most of the menu, we didn't even taste it before we made it. We were just like, this is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work.
Yeah.
One of our most popular sandwiches is called the Cajun chicken sandwich, and that sandwich came to me in a dream. I had a dream that I made a chicken sandwich with cream corn on it. So I came to him and I was like, okay, hear me out. I want to put cream corn on the menu. And he was like, all right. And I was like, really? And then I was like, I want to have a chicken sandwich with cream corn on it. And he was like, all right. And I was like, this is amazing. Because I really thought I was going to have to talk him into it because that sounds kind of weird.
Turned out great.
It's amazing. It's an amazing sandwich.
It's an amazing sandwich.
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're doing something really special, especially in regards to like the specials that we do every weekend. No matter how grumpy or tired we are, we always make something happen. And I think it keeps people really excited. And I think it's also a really good creative outlet for us, again, even if we are grumpy or tired.
Yeah, or make the people in your life spend many, many hours workshopping names.
Is that what you do with Dimitri?
For what the special is going to be.
I just called the last special the special. Did you see that? I was like, I can't think of a name for this. I'm just going to call it the special.
What I think, too, was really cool about you all getting open was that it seemed like you had a lot of support, not only from the people in your lives, but shout out to Three Magnets because they helped you host your first pop-up before you had a standalone site.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was like a really cool moment where I don't think that I had been really like involved in kind of downtown business culture very much at that time, but it just seemed like there was this sense of like more is better. If we're all doing well, we're all doing well kind of thing, and like wanting to invite you all into that a little bit.
Yeah, they're great. That was
amazing.
Kind of their idea is like, if the more restaurants, the better, because people are going to be around more. It's not like a competition. When the new breweries came in, they didn't feel competition from them. Everyone can do their thing and be different, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Different appeal for different people. And there's also like crossover. I feel like it creates curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think that something that stands out to me about the way that you all talk about your business is that there's a lot of underlying values, and I don't think that you would necessarily like talk about it that way.
No, it feels like super masturbatory to even think about it.
But I'm like, but it's real, you know, like you have a business philosophy that, you know, I think that if we were to look at how society functions, there's a lot of scarcity mentality in business, a lot of like get the most out of your workers for the least amount of pay, especially when it comes to service industry. So just talk a little bit about, like, I'm trying not to put it in a way of values because I feel like you're not going to resonate in the same way, but I'm like, what is your outlook as, like, what type of business owners do you want to be in the world? And like, what kind of culture and environment in your organizations are you like wanting to support and flourish? Like, what's the vibe you're going for?
Well, I would say for me, like, working sucks. Having a job sucks. Like, having to play a role in capitalism sucks. But we all, at this point, have to do it. And so my goal is to just try to make it, like, the least painful possible while respecting the people who do work with us and making it a point to try to connect with them on a human level and make space for their experience as a human So people are like having like difficulties with mental health or like just like feeling sick or whatever. It's not like a check in a box like, oh, this is a like 3 strikes you're out kind of like situation. It's just I like want to make room for that. And I also don't want to treat people like they're machines. It's like everybody performs at different levels, and it's been a really interesting learning experience, I think probably for both of us, just to figure out like where to place our expectations of other people, because nobody's going to perform in the way that he or I do. It's just not, it's not going to happen. And
they probably shouldn't.
No, I think it would be unfair for us to expect that of them, especially because this is like our baby.
Yeah.
It's not their
They're just the
baby.
babysitters.
Yeah.
It's like the babysitter doesn't really care for the baby. Right?
I don't know.
That's my
It's not really
understanding.
their. I mean, I guess you hope that they do, but it's not.
I think at this point, most, if not all of them do. I don't know.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
But
talk
Yeah, I
about
think
that.
so
still
too.
different.
But it's like, it's also like, jokes aside, it's like, don't prioritize. I mean, please respect us and do a good job, but you don't have to like prioritize your job and your life. Like, have a good life. Oops. Have a good life, and then, you know, come to work.
Also
and
make your
do
money.
a good job, but like, you know, you want to go on a trip, please go on the trip.
Yeah.
Get your shift covered, and if you can't, we'll help you. But like, I don't know.
It's important that our employees feel respected by us.
Yeah.
Because they are.
Yeah.
Well, and that was so crucial for you when you were playing music and you were, you know, wanting to see what life was like that way, to have an employer that allowed
Yeah,
you to like
totally.
take the space that you needed. And
Yeah, like the Reef let me go out of town 4 months out of the year or whatever.
yeah.
And so who am I to tell someone they can't do that?
Well, so talk about like the support of the employees, because, you know, going back to the time that we're in with the pandemic, like we keep hearing all this stuff about how it's so impossible for places to find people to work. And I think that that's true to some degree, but have you all had challenges keeping your staff during the pandemic?
No.
No, I mean, when the pandemic first hit, it was just the two of us doing the weekends by ourselves, and with your help sometimes, or
Thanks, Meg.
friends doing dishes, and that was a nightmare. And so then we got some money. We got a PPP, so we could be closed, but then we decided to be open again. And at that point, we did lose some employees who weren't comfortable coming back to work yet. So we took the group we had, scheduled so that we could, you know, schedule our hours based on who we had available. And they've mostly been there since.
Yeah, we have a very low turnover rate.
I guess we've hired a couple people, or maybe one, and someone just left. But yeah.
Well, and when you got that relief money, you also did invest it back into the frontline staff there.
Yeah. We gave everybody 2 weeks paid vacation and bonuses.
Right. Oh yeah, the newer money. Yeah.
Yeah. And that felt really good to do, because that's something that I've always wanted to be a part of like our business model. It's just like giving bonuses, and it just even as a means of saying like thank you for showing up and throwing down with us. And
we now have $15 minimum wage in our restaurant.
And how do you incorporate that into the business model? Because that's another thing we hear a lot, that the $15 minimum wage is like not attainable for businesses, and that's something that can't be supported. So like, how do you incorporate that in? Or what are your thoughts on that?
we just do it.
Yeah. I mean, we started at 14 when minimum wage was like 11 or something.
11 something, yeah.
But I think it's 14 something now anyway, right?
I think so.
So, I mean, it's not actually that much money. I mean, we have a small staff, and, you know, there's only like 3 or 4 people a day working, and we have limited hours, so it doesn't actually work out to be that much more to give everybody a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we also don't pay ourselves like an exorbitant amount of money either. So I think that helps, but also we've raised our prices a few times, but they're still pretty fair. I think it's just a matter of like prioritizing where you're spending money.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that we're like in a bit more of an advantageous situation as far as our inventory goes, because we aren't buying meat or dairy or cheese or anything like that, which those are pretty pricey
Mm-hmm.
things. It's not to say we don't have pricey things that we buy. In comparison, like when that's like the focal point of your menu, you are spending more money on
Yeah.
food costs.
Yeah, I remember when we would look at the quarterly reports with the bookkeepers, and there's like the certain percentages that everything's expected to be for a restaurant, and our employee cost was always a much higher percentage, which felt good.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're
higher-
treating them well and
Yeah.
you're investing in them. And
Mhm.
I think that does in turn lead to people staying longer and not having high turnover.
Yeah.
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 It's I want to be I also I want to pay them more. I'm like, can we do
Yeah.
that? Maybe. I don't know. But it's especially working during a pandemic, it is so stressful, and then with unemployment just running out, it's like it's overwhelming to try to navigate. And that's like one of the big things that I didn't really consider in running a business, is just how stressful it is to be like financially responsible for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, this is an immense weight.
Yeah.
Not unbearable, but it's just it's a lot.
Like knowing that people's livelihoods are,
dependent on
yeah.
us doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that there's a movement in business, particularly in the service industry, towards that, because I think that they're like towards that mentality of like more for everyone is better for everyone, rather than really looking at how you can cut support from the front lines in order to make the bottom line
Right.
work. And I think that for those of us that have worked in food service a lot in our lives, that it is a shift. And so I think that that's a really amazing thing. And I hope that the community can hear that you have a successful, I know that you're always like, we're about to go under at any time, but
Or literally not.
but you're literally not. You're like literally
Never know.
having a successful business model that prioritizes your frontline workers, safety, mental wellness, all of those things, and it's working. So tell me a little bit about the Voyeur, because we haven't quite sussed that out. So the Wayside was their kind of flagship business, and then how did the Voyeur come into play?
So during the pandemic, obviously they were closed, being a bar. And I kind of started getting the sense that the owners were losing interest in keeping running it. So I reached out, and I was right. So we sort of joined the collective there, and so that it would keep going. And so then we opened up for takeout, again, just the two of us, with people like you doing dishes.
Thanks, Meg.
For the weekends over the winter, so that we could keep the bills paid, because we think the Voyeur is like a really important part of downtown.
Absolutely.
And I played 1 million shows there, and gone to 1 million shows there, and love that bar. Yeah, so we took over to save it, and we paid the bills through the winter, got a little government money, and now we're just kind of holding on, waiting for pandemic to do something. So probably we're thinking, what was it, September 2024?
Yeah, something like that.
Open.
Yeah.
Someday the Voyeur will return.
We'll be back.
It's hard to know like when the right time to reopen that is, especially since Wayside it's still takeout only and we're still requiring masks at all times.
Yeah.
So the juxtaposition of like having a bar that we're just being like much more flippant about as far as like opening just doesn't feel right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time. I'm like, we could do it this way, we could do it this way, but it just doesn't feel like it's time.
Yeah.
And I know people are eager to like be in the space and like go to shows and stuff, but it's that I'm considering more the staff than anything else. Like I would not want to put them at like greater risk of exposure just so they could like do a job.
Yeah.
Just so like, yeah, I feel like guilt about not opening it for the people who want to go there, but then I was thinking about it the other day and thought, why, like, we don't need to open this business to make money.
Yeah.
So why do it when we're going to like potentially endanger people?
Yeah. Voyeur's financially fine right now, and it feels better to just wait.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels cool to have like a second all vegan business downtown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That feels nice.
Plus now it's just in shambles and the walk-in's broken and we're waiting on repair people.
Yeah. And everything's
Yeah,
backed
blah, blah.
up because of COVID
Yeah.
and walk-in's broken, air conditioner's broken.
Luckily we're not going to need it by the time we open.
That's true. In 2024.
2024
September 2024, right. Got it. Okay, so the Wayside is located at the corner of Capitol and 5th. The Voyeur on 4th, right across the street from, or very close across the street from the Artesian Well Park. Something that's very prevalent in the dialogue in my world with businesses in the downtown area or property owners in the downtown area is the challenges that come with operating businesses where there are higher concentrations of people who are experiencing homelessness, sleeping rough, going through crisis, whatever that might look like. Both of your locations are in those zones, arguably some of the higher concentrated zones. So what is that like for you? Do you have folks that come to your business that are experiencing homelessness?
This is the pay it forward prompt.
Yeah, stop. Come on. We're supposed to have an air of mystery about what questions I'm asking you.
When you're
Thanks
married
for
to
the
both
question.
of us.
Actually, we have a program.
Well, no, I want to. Okay, here's what I actually want to know. I want you to talk about the Pay It Forward program, but I also want you to talk about just like, are people welcome in your business? What does that look like? How do you manage that? When is it hard? What are the benefits to it? Like all of those. It's both of the things.
Okay. So currently we have a Pay It Forward program at Wayside where anybody who doesn't have the funds to get a meal can get a meal, so long as there is money on the card. The card is mostly community funded. We comp stuff all the time, but we don't put it on the card. But and it's not even necessarily specific to homeless people but it's really anybody. But
so like I would come in, I order my food, I'm like, I want to contribute to the Pay It Forward, and then I can just put whatever
dollar amount you want
onto this gift card,
Yeah.
and then whatever the amount that's on the gift card is what's available to anyone who needs it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. And we're planning on doing the same thing at the Voyeur when that time comes. And it feels really easy to do that. It's always felt really like it wasn't even a question whether or not we would do that. Working at the Reef, especially, I was the late night server, and so a lot of the people that I would deal with would be homeless people, especially in the winter when it's cold outside. And a lot of these people just like want a fucking place to like chill and like be a human and like have a cup of coffee or eat a fucking sandwich. Sorry, I'm cursing.
Can you believe that?
That was one of the ones that was not on the list
Yeah.
of okay curses.
Yeah, sorry, sorry. I'm really trying. But yeah, they just being treated like a human, basically. And I haven't really like talked about this much, but like there was a portion in my young life when I was homeless, and so it's something that I can very much empathize with. And I think there is so often this like dehumanization of people, and I knew I just did not want that to be a part of any business that I were to run. And I think that was also part of the appeal of running a business with him. And even though we didn't talk about it so much, it's something that I just knew about him. Probably because he's married to you. But
I am like full admission, I had nothing to do with the Pay It Forward.
That's true.
that's true.
It wasn't my idea. I didn't ask you all to do it.
Yeah, no, I got the idea from a restaurant in North Carolina that I saw doing it once.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's cool, I'd do that. And
How-
really, like, the challenges are so, there's like, I would say no challenges because the percent of hardship is so small. Like, every once in a while, there's a screamer or something that you have to be like,
Riley.
can you please leave? You know?
Riley, if you're going to scream, you got to go
But
outside.
but like really, it's just people coming to the restaurant. It's not weird. People like can use the bathroom. I don't care. if
Anybody
you
can use the bathroom. Which
You don't have to buy a piece of cauliflower to use the bathroom.
where, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, are there any other businesses downtown where you can do that?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. New Moon might, because I
Yeah.
know New Moon also has a
Probably.
Pay
Yeah.
It Forward program.
Yeah, that was the only one that I was thinking like maybe. I mean, and the same will go for Voyeur as well. I think it ultimately comes back to like this being just like a humanitarian issue. I feel like I think that if you show people respect, that they will reciprocate it. Especially when they're just constantly being dehumanized by everyone else. And we have had minimal issues letting people use the bathrooms or anything like that. It's been a really positive experience. for the
How
most part.
many people per day do you feel like, whether you know, I mean, because you also through this process have started to build lots of relationships on your own with people, and your staff have also done that. I feel like there's a lot of people's names that maybe you wouldn't have known before, or like any of those kind of things. And so I'm like, how many people per day that sort of fall into this category of like, maybe they wouldn't be allowed to patronize other businesses or whatever, do you see? Even now with just takeout, 4 to 8 p.m., it's like really limited hours. Like, how many folks would you say are coming through?
If even just to check and see if there's anything on the Pay It Forward, I would say maybe like at minimum 15 people a day. What do you think?
Something like that, yeah.
And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
That just like the number of people that we're trying to feed like on Pay It Forward versus like the donations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just kind of like,
Yeah.
And sometimes we have some things left over at the end of the night we can give out. And actually anything, we don't really throw anything away, but we just box it up and put it outside usually.
and
Yeah.
they know, a lot of them know to anticipate that happening, so they'll come and check, and we put out like utensils and stuff so they can have what they need.
Have you, so like some of the things that have been a struggle, you're like, it's so minimal, the struggle, but what is it like? Somebody has a crisis? I mean, you said the screamer,
Yeah,
but
it's like a crisis, or like, you know, a couple times at the old spa when we were open, there'd be like someone in the bathroom not coming out of the bathroom. But then, you know what happens? They come out of the bathroom.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been really, I don't want to say like trivial stuff, but it's just not anything like super remarkable
Yeah.
or difficult.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I guess at the old spot, there'd be like someone having a crisis who's like screaming at the other customers, and that's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You try to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
But
Have
it's
you
been
ever
a long time
had-
since that's happened.
Yeah. Have you ever had customers, like other customers who are like, this is uncomfortable for me, or I'm not coming back, or leaving bad reviews or anything like that?
I try not to read the reviews.
I read the
That's
reviews.
smart. You read the
We got
reviews.
a upset email once that the person was complaining about something else and then just mentioned, and there's all these homeless people going to the bathroom. It's like, well,
They got to go to the bathroom somewhere.
that's not going to change.
You
Yeah.
could go eat somewhere else. There's plenty of
Yeah.
plenty of places that don't invite homeless people into their space.
Well, what I just think is so interesting is that it's like you are providing a service to the city for the stated public health emergency of homelessness that's been stated at the city. We have very limited 24-hour bathrooms. I think that what's really just interesting is your approach to how you deal with it, because I know that there are other businesses downtown who have at times had more struggle with it, and felt like their only option was to like restrict the use of their space or whatever. But I just think that it's so interesting that you're now going on 3 years of operations with this rate of people accessing your business every day, if not more, when you were open for more hours, and it is still feeling doable and sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I just am like, that's so interesting to me. You know, like that idea that if you are just giving respect and giving a place where people can be themselves, they're going to like return that to you. And it's the same sort of philosophy with Housing First, and the approach that we take with the shelter is like, let people be who they are and see what their needs are and do what you can to meet those needs. And it works out so much better for everyone. So you're going to do it at the Voyeur. Are there any other ideas for how to support people? The vending machine.
Oh yeah, a couple of the old owners got this vending machine at the Voyeur, the old Voyeur owners, that their idea was to put some socks and gloves in some of the vending slots, and then either make it free or like a quarter, and you can get a quarter from the bar, which I think is a really good idea.
Yeah.
And we bought the vending machine from them, so
We're going to
Yeah.
use it for
gonna use it.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Toothbrushes. Things people need.
Yeah.
Basic stuff.
Well, what else? Anything else that we didn't talk about that you all want to share?
I don't know. Again, it's like I think part of me like kind of feels uncomfortable talking about this stuff because even if it is true, it like feels masturbatory to an extent.
Yeah.
And
I mean, another thing about like sorry, did you have something?
no, go ahead.
About, some of the pay it forward customers is sometimes there'll be someone who's kind of difficult, but then they keep coming back, and now like everyone has a relationship with them, and
I know who you're referring
Yeah.
to.
and now everybody likes this person, or like these people. There's more than one like this,
Yeah.
And then it's fun because they get to talk to you about them because you know them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like except for like, that one person, I think has been a struggle, but used to be a struggle for people. But before that, it felt like our employees would complain more about how it's hard to tell so many people in a row that there's no money on the pay it forward.
Yeah.
Rather more than like, no one is outwardly upset that we're doing that program. Everyone likes it. The employees aren't. It's not a struggle for the staff.
Yeah, because it's just like baked into the culture of the
Yeah,
place.
and everybody who works there, I think, is on the same page as us, that these are just humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think, like, what I was going to say before he started talking about pay it forward stuff was, I think this is like an aspect of veganism that people don't really talk about. And it's just like the human aspect of veganism. People think of it very, very specific to animals. And it's like, the human experience, like, matters too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being kind to other people is also, like, or should be part of the deal. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think that veganism often, like, how it is in, like, mainstream society is often very, like, a one issue thing.
Yeah.
And it obviously isn't, but it's like very rarely is conversations about race or class or just like the intersections of all of the other parts of people who are either drawn to or excluded from the vegan movement.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that also about your approach, is that you all are really invested seemingly in different parts of activism as well in the community, besides just like, don't kill animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just feels like a one note take. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but is it enough?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's enough.
Do you think that any of your customers that might be more on the one issue side of things are like, see that at all? It's like, obviously I see it because we're like,
question.
but I'm like, do you think they see that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you see that? As somebody who...
Peter from Porcupine is a vegan, and we're wondering, do you think that, I guess re-ask the question.
Is that visible to you, that it's not just like a one note issue, that there are layers to it, that there are intersections? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a long way to go with that for the movement as a whole, but I do feel proud that I think in Olympia there's at least some conversation around it that's happening. So, well, I just love you both very much. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. I hope that you will continue to find your voice as business owners in this community. I know it's an uncomfortable thing to be in that role for both of you, but I just am really proud of you, and I think you have a lot of really important things to say to better our community. So thank you for taking the time and going out of your comfort zone to talk to me today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay, so where and when can people find your food?
7 days a week, corner of 5th and Capitol, 4 to 8 p.m.
Takeout only.
Takeout only.
Take out, masks
Wear
on.
your mask.
Mm-hmm.
No mask, no food. But
Taco
if you need a mask,
Tuesdays.
if you need a mask, we'll provide it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got masks on hand.
Yeah, we got masks on here.
Taco Tuesdays, specials every weekend.
Yeah. Are you doing that today?
Yeah.
There will be tacos.
There will be
today.
tacos today. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you know folks that missed this episode, you can see all of our past episodes on YouTube or up on our website, interfaith-works.org. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment to join the conversation. Again, thank you so much to you today. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.